Hall. I'm one of the full-time faculty of the Computer Graphics Technology Department. Our department does graphics and web design and motion graphics in a 2-year program, hopefully either for students to advance on or for professionals for retraining. So hopefully you saw some of the print material out in the lobby area. We also have a little flyer that if you're interested in finding out what we do, this is the commercial, my commercial for doing this. So if you're interested, there is a flyer out there. I think the important thing that this program is doing for us is it's providing our students the capability of working with professionals, because my students are part of what we call the practical application class. They're the ones that help coordinate this event, design the posters, design the media, and then work with the professionals so they get a real hands-on experience. How to deal with clients that have due dates that are exceptionally short or change their mind or whatever. Not that this happened in this event, but it always happens, right? All of us know in the industry that it isn't what it started with, it's what it ends with that's important. So what we want to do is get the meeting going and the presentations going. So Andrew, what I'm going to do is pass it on to you and have an enjoyable evening, and stop by and look at some of our work and maybe pick up a flyer, and we'd appreciate you coming back. We do have an event. See, I'm not going to let you get here yet. We do have an event on the 19th, which is part of the InDesign user group presentation, and that's on folding product. There's a software that does different folding packages, as well as we have somebody from Chicago coming in for paper products. So if you're interested in traditional flat readable copy, which hopefully never goes away, check out the InDesign user group website, and hopefully we'll see you next week at this time. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Test 1, 2. Good. Good evening, everybody. Good. How's everyone doing? Good. My name's Andrew Humphrey. I'm a meteorologist and reporter at WDIV Channel 4. So normally the rule when it comes to meteorologists, when you invite them, generally don't invite them because it guarantees rain or snow. But fortunately that was not the case today. We had beautiful sunshine, so I'll take credit for that, thankfully. But if it did rain or snow, I'd say we'll just blame it on another TV station. But it's really good to see everybody. This is, of course, called D-Movement, which is going to be, I think you'll be fabulously surprised at the number of presentations that we have for you this evening, really highlighting some of the strengths of Detroit and Southeast Michigan. I first want to get a feel of the audience. This will help the presenters out also. First of all, let's give Michael, the head instructor here, a round of applause for his training welcome. Thank you to going to Schoolcraft College. So I want to get a sense of who's out there, who's listening, and who's watching. So who heard about this event, first of all, via email? And who first heard of this event via Facebook? Good. And who first heard about it via Twitter? And finally, word of mouth. Good. And any other methods? Anybody? LinkedIn. What else? Anyone else shout out? Oh, from the Observer, from the newspaper. There you go. The so-called traditional media, even though everything is basically one. I mean, I'm in so-called traditional media called television. But hey, television's now combined with computers. Everything's combined with newspapers and print, and vice versa. So we're all one. And I think that's one of the things that we'll learn here this evening as well with some of the presentations. Just briefly, a little bit about myself. I've been doing the weather on TV back here in Detroit and Southeast Michigan now for about 9 years, since 2002. I say back because I'm originally from Maryland, right outside of Washington, D.C. I was born and raised there, went all the way through high school. First wanted to be a football player, but do I look like a football player? All right, the laughter says it all. So my mom and dad laughed at that too. All the other the guys that I played against in high school, they didn't laugh. They were too busy beating me up on the football field and pushing me backwards. So I got hit in the head enough times where I realized, well, maybe football might not work out as a profession. But one of the few times that I listened to my parents and my teachers and mentors was when they had the main piece of advice for me, which was, whatever it is you want to be when you grow up, just make sure you pick something that you love. Make sure you pick something that you're passionate about. And I always kept that in mind. Football was a passion of mine, but growing up in Maryland, 1 inch of snow and they closed the schools down right away. So think about that. And this is before teachers and parents got smart and added on extra days if you got too many snow days. So I really loved weather growing up in Maryland. When I was in school, I loved math and science. So by the time high school age came around, I realized that weather, math, and science put together is meteorology, and that's when I decided to study it. So I went to Michigan for undergraduate school. I'm here at Schoolcraft. I would say normally go blue, but we don't need to do that here. Well, we got one in the audience, so there you go. That's satisfactory. Now, I went to Michigan for undergraduate school, MIT for graduate school, bachelor's, master's in meteorology. So I'm saying all that to say, not to brag about my credentials, but to say basically that I'm a geek at heart, just like many of you out here in the audience. And really, this is what it's all about. You know, I read recently today, this is the 150th anniversary of the start of the Civil War. And there was an article that I read today on one of today's websites / newspapers, again, highlighting how things come together, that Abraham Lincoln was famous for saying, thank God for Michigan, because when Michigan entered the Civil War, that was a pivotal point in terms of support for the Union troops. And there were a little ways down the article, there was a paragraph that said, well, there was doubt on whether or not Abraham Lincoln actually said that. And either the author or there was a person who was quoted saying, well, maybe the doubt whether or not the president actually said that might have been due to Michigan's so-called inferiority complex. And I've heard that comment before about Michigan or Detroit having an inferiority complex. And I got to thinking a little bit, or I actually have been thinking about it for a little while. And I must respectfully disagree with the notion of an inferiority complex. I mean, do you feel like you have an inferiority complex, yes or no?
No.
Thank you. And you said that pretty proudly, too. Well, I tend to look at it as really as a sense of modesty, almost over modesty, or a real sense of humility, which is really a positive trait for one to have. And really, Detroit and Southeast Michigan has also been known for really going by the saying, the proof is in the pudding. It's not so much what you say, it's more or less what you do. It's the deeds that you do that really make a difference and really speak a lot about who you are. And you'll find that out also in these presentations here. Each one of the presenters, 5 or 6 that you're about to witness tonight, really has put a lot of hard work into what they're doing. And I know that they're truly honored that you're here this evening to listen to them. And finally, just one thing that I have to say about Detroit and the region, and really an emphasis of tonight as well, is that tonight I think you're going to really see a shining example of how Detroit is what is, in my opinion, the innovation capital of the world. And I think growing up in the DC area for myself, it really gave me an appreciation of growing up in a powerful city and really not to take it for granted, just like many of you don't take for granted living here in this area or in this fabulous state. In my opinion, I say this to people all the time, whether it's little kids that I talk with at school or older folks that I talk with. Really, there are probably only 4 cities in the United States that really move the rest of the world on a regular basis. It's probably Washington, D.C., because of the president, the government, what happens there. New York City, mainly because of business and Wall Street, so on and so forth. Los Angeles, because of Hollywood and entertainment, shaping a lot of opinions out there. And Detroit, because of cars. And it's not necessarily in that order. And in my opinion, you can do this little exercise yourself. Take a 30-day period. You watch any nightly news program, preferably Channel 4 and Brian Williams, NBC Nightly News. But you watch any national news program on a regular basis, and you'll hear Detroit mentioned most often right behind Washington, D.C. and New York City, most of the time. I mean, every month, whether the news is good or bad, you'll always hear about what's happening with the car companies. Every month, you'll hear about I'll say University of Michigan again, but their consumer satisfaction or consumer index that comes out of the University of Michigan. And also various other types of news, whether it's good or bad, coming right out of here in Detroit and Southeast Michigan. I mean, think about how often you might hear about what's happening in either Dallas or San Francisco or even Cleveland or Chicago, some of our closer neighbors. And I think you'll find on a regular basis that you'll hear Detroit more often. And that really gives me a sense of pride, and I know it gives you a lot of pride too. All right, enough of what I have to say. Is everyone ready for all the presenters?
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm going to get started here first with the man, well, one of the persons who's responsible for this evening and a lot of the innovation that's happening here, or highlighting a lot of the innovation that's happening here in Detroit and Southeast Michigan. We're going to hear first from Thanh Tran, who's the CEO of H&T Medical Solutions. He's also the co-founder of Mental Note. He earned a bachelor's and master's degree in electrical engineering from Michigan State University. He also received an associate degree in computer graphics technology, specializing in graphic design and animation, right here from Schoolcraft College. And he says that to him, Detroit is the center of Michigan and center of the state, and it's really the cultural and economic center, and it really means so much, not only for the state, but also nationwide. And it's really vital to everyone that lives, not only here in the region, but throughout many other areas of the country, especially here in Southeast Michigan. And that's why it's so important to support the city of Detroit and the surrounding areas. Oh, one other thing. How many folks are from Detroit or have a business in Detroit? Good. And how many folks live outside of Detroit but in Southeast Michigan? Good. Anyone from anywhere outside of Southeast Michigan who might have heard about this? Okay. One of the things that Thanh highlighted was he loves taking his 4.5-year-old Justin to do simple community service work inside Detroit. And last Thanksgiving, he and Justin did Meals on Wheels, where he brought food to seniors. And the seniors were very appreciative of them bringing meals to them during Thanksgiving and for the holidays. And he was so delighted to see his child and so many other kids and their parents doing the same thing. And it's really a great feeling to see that the future of community service will continue to grow with younger generations as they realize the importance of thinking about others instead of thinking about themselves. And that's really one of the highlights here also. So without further ado, everyone please give a round of applause and a hearty welcome to Thanh Tran.
Testing. I think I would say that Andrew here did a more better job than me, talking about me than I could ever talk about myself. So I appreciate that. I want to say thanks again for all coming out to the Deep Movement Conference here. I really do appreciate you guys coming out here. Take the opportunity to go visit some of these presenters and this organization, listen to some of the activities that's going around in the city of Detroit, in our great city of Detroit. So with that, I want to say thanks for coming. This is my organization. It's called the DNewTech. Basically, my name is Thanh Tran. I am also the founder of our startup company, a software company called Mental Note. This is an electronic medical record software for behavioral health physicians. And basically, the DNewTech is actually a spin-off from another group called the A. You keep coming in and out. Is everyone okay? Okay. Basically, it's a spin-off from A2 New Tech. I don't know. Does anyone know what A2 New Tech in Ann Arbor is? Okay, we got a couple of people here. Basically, I was invited to present our software startup out there, and I thought the idea was so great. Not only that it was great because it was encouraging entrepreneurship, but there wasn't something like this in the city of Detroit. And with all the events that's going around, with the state promoting more entrepreneurship as well as diversity in the industry for the state of Michigan, with our new governor, who was an entrepreneur himself, giving us a lot of support with regards to tax rate. I mean, there's so many events going around that I thought that this was the perfect time for DNewTech. We've got about 300 members right now, and it's between our website as well as our LinkedIn group. It's growing pretty fast, and this is only, May would be our 7th meeting. So you can see that there's a lot of activity as energy going down about the DNewTech. Let me talk about our mission. We basically talk about 3 things. Basically entrepreneurship, encouraging entrepreneurship, as well as collaborating and networking. And if you look at the entrepreneurs out in the city of Detroit, we talk about, we want to encourage entrepreneurship, not only the local entrepreneurs in the city, but also in the southeast area of Michigan. One of the cool things is that a lot of these small business accelerator, including TechTown, which is a state incubator, my hometown as well, my home for the Mental Note, we actually, you look at all these business accelerators, and they have a lot of money going into them. We're talking about $18 million going to startup companies this part of the year. And this is going into about 330 companies, small businesses. And then on top of that, they're adding another $108 million into the city, into small businesses. We're talking about a lot of investments going into the city of Detroit. This is a great time to do some startups. Let's talk about collaboration. Can anyone give me a definition of what collaborate means to them? Does anyone want to give it a try? Okay, go ahead, Tara.
Working together, being unified to make something even greater than it could be with just one person.
I couldn't say it better. Basically working together. This is what the whole WDIV-TV is all about. Is that a bunch of entrepreneurs, business owners, consultants, students coming together, looking for the next and greatest thing. We might even have the next Facebook in the back of our yard and we don't even know it. The great thing here is that we're all working together to come up with an opportunity to change the culture in the city of Detroit. You look at the old mentality where it used to be me, me, me. If you go into the city of Detroit, the culture is changing. It's more like we. And the greatest thing about this is that we're all trying to want to be part of something that's growing, but also at the same time offering our time and services as well as resources. The next thing I'll talk about is networking. If you talk to any entrepreneur, part of their success is about networking. I mean, you're here right now is because you want to network. One of the greatest things about networking is that, for a startup company like myself, I used to work out at home. One of the challenging part about working out from home is that I always thought that I was the only person in this problem. I can't find a web designer. I can't tend to raise capital. I don't know how to market my product or service. Going to events like this, I mean, I tell you, there's people that's already done all this. There's organizations out there that's already helping entrepreneurs. And again, one of the things that we do is that we want to promote networking because it's the bread and butter of not only the success of our Detroit, but also the success of your startup as well. So what's next? Who should attend? Basically, we talked about entrepreneurs. I mean, if you have an idea, you have a good business concept. More importantly, if you have already a business plan, something that is very unique, we prefer, we'd rather have you come and present it. It's not so important that you have a business plan. The problem with the business plan is that that's more for established companies. For startup companies, we're looking more for innovative, different business models. In regards to consultants, if you look at these WDIV-TV meetings, they're more like a matchmaking. It's a great opportunity for everybody to look for clients. You talk about startup companies are always looking for help with legal work, marketing, programming, graphic designers. We have a bunch of designers out here. I tell you, it's a great place to find opportunities. And if not opportunities, then also a great place to offer you resources. And next would be students. Before I talk about students, and I can't emphasize this anymore, how many of us in here right now in attendance are full-time students? How many are full-time students? Okay, so the rest of you, I assume that the rest of you are probably part-time and or professional, professional people in the workforce. But I can tell you right now that this is the best time to take a risk. I mean, especially for students. You think about some of the young entrepreneurs we're talking about, like Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook, or Bill Gates when he started Microsoft. They were doing this when they were in school. And one of the things that you're in an environment on a campus that you have all these resources. Now with the WDIV-TV and with organizations like these that you can attend, you can actually learn more of what you want to do when you grow up. Some people never learn. So one of the things I would recommend is, once you get your degree, one of the greatest things is that once you get your degree, you can start going to work for a larger company because it might be what you want to do. But you could also start your own business. And being able to do this while you're in school will give you an opportunity to be ahead of the game. At least you know what you want to do. When are these events? Basically, our events are usually the first Wednesday of every month, and our next event is taking place on May 4th. We usually kick off our meeting at 6:30, last till 8:30. You can come a little bit earlier, stay a little later for networking. We basically host our meeting at the Quicken Loan headquarters, and we initially started at Wayne State University on the campus at the Engineering Center, and then we moved to the CompuWare building where Quicken Loan is now head out of. And the cool thing about Quicken Loan is that if you guys haven't been to Quicken Loan, you got to go there. There's a lot of energy going there. There's a lot of creativity. I mean, there's some people here that actually works out at the Quicken Loan building. And the cool thing is that at our meeting you get free slushies. I mean, I can't emphasize that anymore. I mean, that's the coolest thing. What about the agenda? So basically, this is what we do. At the beginning, we kick off with a guest speaker. Our guest speakers are usually a investor, someone who's done some investing in startups, or they have done some startup in the past. One of the things that we do is that we always encourage that our presenter to be on top of the game, because there's always at least one investor listening to you, and that's usually our guest speaker. In regards to entrepreneurs, after 15-20 minutes of our guest speaker, we have presenters pitching their business. They get 5 minutes to pitch, and then afterward they get 5 minutes for questions which are drilled by the audience. The funny thing is that a lot of entrepreneurs like myself, when I started out with Meant to Know, I felt like I had the coolest thing. I had the most beautiful baby in the world. But when you come to one of these type of events, you realize that really your baby's not that beautiful. So it's one of those reality checks. And then afterward, we actually do have some networking sessions for everyone to join. These are a couple of companies that actually presented at our DNewTech. And the cool thing is that these are all I'm pretty sure they're going to do very well. Tanya Allen, who is one of my good friends for forever, she's come up with the next generation of disposable briefs. Her product is out there in 50 Walgreens right now, and expanding a little more every day. We have Joe with Bandos, which having interchangeable bands as well as new different footwear. Very creative company. Local Orbits, Erica Black. I mean, if you haven't heard about her, you will soon. She's actually coming up with a way of buying local food. We're talking about the current theme right now is urban. This is definitely an urban thing, and she's actually expanding her business, I think, right now in New York as well. The next is People Movers. I definitely encourage you to look out and check out peoplemovers.com. If you think how Facebook changed the way we actually communicate using social media, I believe that People Movers is going to change the way we communicate as a community. Regardless of your profit or non-profit organization, create a network out there. I think it's free at this time, and you get a chance to see what type of audience, what type of network you can create with just what you're doing. And I think Keith is here today too, so go check out his booth. I think you'll learn more what you can do. And I think right now, again, you can actually create a community for free, so sign up soon. So basically, DNewTech, we encourage entrepreneurship, we encourage collaboration, we encourage networking. This is all about trying to do more for the city, create Detroit, make Detroit a better community. And I have to point out, I'm gonna take a phrase from my friend Chris Rizek. He was a past speaker at one of our New Tech meetings, and he also is the CEO and fund manager for the Renaissance Venture Funds. His article just came out yesterday on the Cranes, and he stated that the key to the future of Detroit is at the level of entrepreneurship. Let me rephrase that. It's actually the key to Detroit is at the level of entrepreneurship that it hasn't been in the last 2 generations. What that means to me is that we're right now at a critical point in our time. And for us to get together and collaborate and be able to do things to reinvent Detroit, we're all doing this together. And it's not like a me world anymore. And the cool thing about this is that once Detroit reinvents itself, and I believe that they will do so very quickly, is that I believe that DNewTech will be that small catalyst, a small spark that really did do a major impact in part of the reinventing the Detroit area. So with that, go to our website, dnewtech.org. You can actually register and RSVP for our meetings. It's all free, and we hope to see you on May 4th. Thanks.
All right, Tom, thank you very much. And one of the things that I really want to emphasize, collaboration, that part of collaboration he was talking about was networking. So also keep that in mind when you hear the rest of these presentations. There might be a spark that goes off in your mind. You might already have the next great idea out there, but just need that extra puzzle piece to make everything fit together to make your opportunity a success. So feel free to keep that in mind, and networking is a key component of this evening as well. I mean, this could be one of those opportunities or one of those moments, like when Steve Jobs met Steve Wozniak to form Apple, or Sergey Brin met Larry Page to form Google, or Bob Johnson, the founder of BET, met Barry Diller to help form that network. This is one of those opportunities also, so just keep that in mind. All right, our next presenter, Amy from Detroit Soup, are you here? Amy, help me with your last name. Amy Cahurl. I'm going to tell you first a little bit about Detroit Soup. Detroit Soup is a collaborative situation, a public dinner, a platform for connection, a democratic experiment, and it's an opportunity to support creative people in Detroit. One of the things that she's proud of is creating this hub for collaboration and creativity, not only for herself and the folks immediately around her, but also for so-called strangers, but like-minded individuals who want to see Detroit and Southeast Michigan stay a success and become even greater. So without further ado, everyone please welcome Amy.
Should I use this? So yeah, I'm Amy Cahurl. I'm one of many co-founders of Detroit Soup. I normally don't do this by myself because I think the beautiful part about Soup is that there are many people who make this collaborative dinner happen. It just so happens that it's also thesis writing time, project writing time, end of the semester time. And as I am not a full-time student, thank God, only just because I finished my master's a couple years ago, makes me here by myself. So here's Detroit Soup. This is our website. So Detroit Soup in 2010 was a monthly dinner. It's now moved to seasonally. But the first Sunday of every month, we ask people to come to the bakery loft, which is the loft above the Mexican Town Bakery in Mexican Town. Our wonderful co-collaborators, Jessica Hernandez and Kate Dodrell, we met at a women's event that happened up in at the Crowfoot Ballroom in February. And in that planning, we realized that this was a strong, fantastic group of ladies and gentlemen, and just a support team in general that came together and said, we can really do something. Soup, there are, I think, like 26 kind of soup or soup type dinners happening all over the U.S. We did not come up with the idea. But what happens is you come in and you get soup, salad, bread, and oftentimes delicious pie. And you come in with $5 and you get all of this. What the beautiful part is that we have fantastic people in our community who are willing to share their hearts, dreams, passions, goals, crazy ideas that they thought about when they pass people on the side of the street and say, I'll present that. What happens is that everybody in the room then votes on a project, and whoever wins goes home with the money. So it's a pretty basic idea, and there really are no strings attached. The beautiful part is that we ask if you do win to come back 2 months later and share what you've done with this money. It's amazing. So here is Ben. Ben won for, it was called Drawing Detroit, and he rode a 7-mile bike ride to work every day, and he drew his whole bike ride. And so it's I think 70-page coloring book now, and you can get it at Cass Cafe or City Bird in Midtown. And so this is beautiful. It was simple. He came in, shared his idea, people really got on board with it, and poof, dreams, like there was his money. So this is the beautiful setting that we've been able to have in this bakery loft, which it's amazing because in February 2010, the loft itself was full of stuff. Band equipment, Jessica Hernandez and the Delta's practices there. Stuff from the bakery, Armando's next door. It was just full of things, and over the last year, a stage has been built, art installations have been hung, took down, bands will perform, art is happening, and a new set of people are seeing Mexican Town and a whole new set of eyes. It's also across the street from Clark Park. I mean, it's just such an amazing space. And meeting once a month, we found just the people who are taking risks. I think that's my favorite part about it, to show up. Because it was just a ragtag group of 40 of us who started on February 2010 that has moved into, the first month no one received any money. The second month was $90, and it was an art installation about Rust Belt architecture. The second month was with Ben with his coloring book, and it's now moved into more social justice-based projects. So This wonderful student at CCS, her name is Veronica from the Empowerment Plan. Her project was to make a coat that would turn into a sleeping bag for the homeless. She was struggling, from what she's communicated at past soups, is that she was struggling. She came to soup kind of out of steam, out of energy, and out of money. She shared her idea, and it was really the right group of people, because 3 days later she was on NPR, 2 weeks later CNN, and within that time Carhartt said that they will give money to donate. Now, I will take no responsibility for the fact that Carhartt gave that, but what an amazing time to network and to share with other individuals. And so you can see here just who's available. There's certain pictures of people with capes and sashes, and that's just to share, hey, I'm a presenter, hey, I made food. And the beautiful part about the food is that it's people from all over the community who want to also share their project but really don't want the funds. It's just a way to say, hey, I'm an artist, I'm a musician, I'm a business owner. One of my favorite soups was an 18-year-old came and said, I'm a coach of a basketball team, and none of the kids on our team can afford uniforms. He did not win the grant, but within 5 minutes, a gentleman who owns Supino's Pizza, which is an Eastern market, said, hey, I'll pay for your uniforms. And so, to me, people have found relationships at soup. It's crazy, the just kind of networking in a really safe environment where people are willing to share. I love this photo because it showed that something happened. People brought in their own wine to drink. We ate pie. I love it because these are some of my dishes from growing up, and now they're being utilized in a different way rather than sitting in some my dad's musty basement. And here's a picture of our voting booth that people get to share and experience inside of the booth of just sharing. That's the beauty of living in America, is that you have a chance to share your voice, whether it's the majority or not. I guess it doesn't really matter, but at this point it's a chance to hear what one another are doing. So these are our proposals. There's a lot of pleasure that happens. This was Jessica Hernandez's grandmother who made the soup 1 month. What a cultural history that we were allowed to share with, and people are sharing their stories as well. And people, oftentimes, the salad is always organic and local. People have their own personal farms or have access to a huge bag of kale that was left over from something else, and just bringing that in and saying, hey, let's share. We rarely take money over the overhead. The Hernandez family has been very generous in paying for the space in the wintertime. Nobody gets paid that puts on the soup dinner, and that's why it's moved to seasonally, because many of us, because of this, are now involved in tremendous amounts of projects that are happening in Detroit. Some of us just did the March de Nain Rouge that were just happening. So there's always something going on. So yeah, this is soup. The next soup will be May 1st. The next one after that will be August. And in this new season of soup, we're going to hopefully dialogue in new ways, try new ways of understanding, new ways of approaching certain topics, new ways of talking about maybe diversity or entrepreneurship, or finding new ways to do structures, because we're not the only ones who are thinking about it. So again, I unfortunately have to leave early, so I won't be here in the back. But you feel free to go on our website. If you have any questions, you can email detroitsoup@gmail.com. And most of our photos are taken by my wonderful and best friend Vanessa Miller, who's able to capture moments and memories in ways I wish I could. So thank you for your time. Detroit Soup's physical address is, I'm not really sure. It's if you look up Armando's online, it's right next door to that. It's on Verner, across the street from Clark Park. It's so sad that I don't know the address, but I should. But it's above. Oftentimes, I'll go back to this slide here. This door is open, and this door is to the left of the bakery door, and so it will be open, and that sign's always outside. And so it is, it's like you walk up the stairs and it's like a magical wonderland has appeared above. So, yeah.
All right, great. Amy, everybody. All right. Oh, also one other little housekeeping thing. Feel free to go ahead and either tweet or Facebook, or if you're on LinkedIn, go ahead and message some of the things that you're hearing about, so many other folks in Detroit, Southeast Michigan, and really the rest of the world, since we're all global now, can learn about what's happening here right now. And maybe that'll spark someone's idea that just doesn't have to be here in the room. All right, next we have Shane Sebo. Shane Sebo is, actually he's a resident here in the Livonia area. And Shane Sebo is here to talk about Joomla Detroit. And Joomla Detroit is an organization that helps men, women, kids, students build and develop websites. So everyone please give it up for Shane.
Thank you for the introduction. Yes, men, women, students, kids, no pets or animals yet have created websites with Joomla to the best of my knowledge, but that very well could be in the future. I have a few slides, and I think I want to try to draw it out, so I'm going to make up some stuff. An important quote. It's by someone famous. It's either Albert Einstein or Woody Allen. The most important thing about life is showing up. So someone check that and let me know which one it is. I'm sure it's one of those people. But I really do believe that, and I believe that a lot of what we're hearing tonight is echoing that ethic, and something that is just naturally getting squeezed out of Detroit in its situation. And I read a book about 2 years ago, or at least chunks of it, that was called Bowling Alone. Anybody read that or check into it? It's a sociology study of America, and it was rather depressing. And it was basically building a case that people do the most boring things by themselves and live a fairly miserable life. If you can imagine, bowling alone might be worse than drinking alone. Was that me or? Check 1, 2. So anyway, when I read that, it was kind of at the beginning of my foray into internet technologies. And it was presenting a problem that people have a hard time connecting in a modern world and getting together and doing things that are meaningful to their lives. And in many ways, it was presenting the case that technology was the problem. People had so many devices and comforts that there was really no need to get together anymore. With a 2-car garage, you come home, you get in, it's attached to your house, and then you never see another human soul. And at that time, I was getting involved with a lot of community groups in the Detroit area and just really enjoying the opportunity to show up and be present with other people that cared about the same things that I did. Let's go ahead and hit me with the next slide. So I discovered this really great tool called Joomla. And in Swahili, I believe, it means let's come together. And it's one of those little technology tools that allows people to do things with technology that I think are actually useful. So instead of separating us from other people, it's a platform for building websites that allow people to come together and do something together, meet each other, build a presence online, and promote humanity. So I use this to build websites for a bunch of different community groups. A few different endeavors have been mentioned here tonight. Has anyone done anything with the SEMA Effects Network? Does anybody remember that? Randy Rockefeller, Scott Dunham, those folks. They were my first foray into local community user groups. And these people are still close confidants and friends of mine, people that I get together with on a monthly basis just because I want to see their face, let alone what they can do for me. But along the way, those relationships have been foundational to everything that I've enjoyed living in the Detroit area for the last 20 years. And it's those kind of experiences that come out of shared interest, affinity groups, that sort of thing. But then you get all these relationships that come along and just take over your life in the most joyful way possible. A better experience than I could imagine or create on my own. And when I encounter a tool that allows me to do that same thing with technology or encourage those kinds of activities with technology, I really get excited. Go ahead and hit me with the next slide. So Joomla is a very powerful platform I discovered pretty quickly. I had not done anything with web design 5 years ago. I kind of avoided it as something that was like a code burden. When I tried to do, I came from a graphic design, 3D type of perspective on my professional life. And every time I had to touch code, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to spend my life debugging syntax. I can barely spell, let alone figure out what is causing such and such a page to go awry. But I found a tool that was very intuitive, had a graphical user interface to do most of your work. You still had to have some coding smarts, but basically I could build really powerful websites overnight that rivaled a lot of what Facebook and at that time MySpace was really getting used to collaborate with other groups. Facebook really wasn't on the scene yet, and I saw what MySpace was. It was an assault on your senses in the worst form of design possible. Like, imagine going into some sort of drunken crazy house. Every page you're not sure what you're going to find next. And well-meaning people are just putting out things that they care about, but it looks like they vomit all over the page. And so Joomla gave a middle road where designers could actually care about what it looked like and what it was like to interact with the content, but it still made it accessible to people to update their own stuff. And you could work with a team of people, do a little bit of training, so you could have a design and you could have, accessibility. So these two pieces started to come together, and I was just kind of thrown into by necessity because I wanted to build some websites to support some community groups. All of a sudden I found myself in a whole new world, and that was the open source technology world. And the more I got into it, the more I fell in love with these people and how much they were able to accomplish just by a global consortium of benevolent nerds just get together and they're like, we ought to have this tool. Let us make it so. And Joomla was one of those tools. All right, next slide, please. Thank you. So there was a time when this is how we traded software, and it was a crime. But the open source ethic breaks apart everything that you see that's intimidating and incriminating about this graphic, but also builds on it in a lot of interesting ways. So it's free software. Anyone can download a tool that used to be probably $500,000 worth of technology and arcane Microsoft licenses and servers that you'd have to install till the day you died. Now you can download a piece of software that just 5 years ago was a $500,000 investment, and you can download an 11 megabit package and do whatever you want with it. So that is a pretty amazing moment for the accomplishment of technology. And then it's easy to share as well. It's just as easy as handing off a floppy disk, if not quite a bit easier. I actually kind of miss those days when you got the counterfeit game back. But okay, next slide. Thank you. So here is your Joomla portal to everything, and I guess I don't expect you to understand everything that Joomla is. That's why we have a user group, so you'd have to come out and find out more. But once you get into it and you're kind of intrigued, I'd like to build my own website. And you go do yourself a little bit of Googling, and you're like, I want to make a website. What should I do? And they're like, you should have a content management system. That sounds great. I would like a content management system. And you Google that. And then you're going to come up with 3 choices. You're going to have one is called WordPress, and you're like, that's for blogging. I don't want to blog. And then you're going to have another one called Drupal. And then you're going to read their website for about half an hour and you're like, I do not know what you're talking about. And then you're going to find Joomla. And you're going to come to this beautiful page with nice graphics and little pictures of birds and they got like stars next to everything. It's all categorized. And you're like, I want a birdie on my website. And then you just download it and install it and it works like software. I want to have this application on my computer, I install it. I would like this component on my website, I download it, and I install it. And so the first 4 days that I discovered this, I was just kind of like, narcotic, and another one, and another one. I just kept downloading and installing everything. I made a whole bunch of websites that were horrible. But I discovered this amazing world of open source technology where people were giving away really great free software that oftentimes was better than anything I could buy. I would go out and try to buy something better than it, and I couldn't find it. The one caveat is that you have 7,000 options here of what to install. So it's a little bit daunting, and this is, I think, Joomla has their 1.0 release, which was actually a fork of another project, came out about 4 years ago. So in 4 years, you have 7,000 little add-on module, component, extension, templates, things that you can install into this tool. So you're starting to get yourself into the other problem with technology is that, and it's the problem of our age, there's an information overload. How are you ever going to sort out all this stuff and make sense of it? And unfortunately, everything seems to get relegated to the search bar, and if you can't get your answer there, then you're kind of screwed. But that's where people might matter again. Okay, next slide, please, thank you. So you can go online and you can find lots of people talking about what this tool is, how to use it, and anyone here who's a tech person, I'm sure that you've done this. You've spent a good portion of your life trolling through forums on some sort of software that isn't supported yet or has been abandoned by the developer, and you're just trying to find that one little checkbox that's going to actually make the thing work. So that is the new world that you're running into again, is that there's a lot of people out there talking about it. There's a lot of people telling you how they made it do the thing that they needed to do. But the truth is that no one reads websites anymore. No one has time to read a website. Lonely pages are waiting for your eyes, and they will never actually be read. There's many studies that would say we spend about 10 seconds scanning every page. We do one sweep at the top. If we don't see anything interesting, then our eye drops down to about here and does another sweep. If we find something interesting there, if it's a play button for a video, we'll push it. If there's no play button for a video, then we'll scroll down to the bottom of the page, but we won't look at anything as we scroll down. And that's pretty much all you get. So, and this is kind of the eternal bane of the web designer's existence, is that you have these really powerful tools to build expansive, immense websites that will never actually be read. Anyway, next slide. So, how do you fix such a problem? You have all of these questions, and there's an online knowledge base, but it's daunting and impersonal and actually starts to feel a lot like bowling alone again. You're spending increasingly long hours searching for that something. Yes, Neil. Feel your pain. All right, next slide. So all of a sudden, you do have an option that there's people out there, again, that actually are people, and they will talk to you if you show up. And I think that's been an interesting note coming out of the presentation so far tonight. I've heard a lot about Detroit Soup. I haven't been to one of their events, but just seeing the photos of those people enjoying a meal together and talking about things that they cared about, I can't imagine anything more fun. More fun than nerding out on my computer by myself, even. So I've met a lot of these people. This is Father Richard Dalton. He's a good friend of mine, a spiritual mentor even. He's got a website called lookupdetroit.com if anyone's interested in getting involved in supporting and promoting positive news in the area. This is Terry Tech. He's actually comes all the way from just above Flint down to our user group. Oh, that's me. Anyway, there's probably 200, I think, people have signed up to, or have attended one of our user groups, and we've been meeting for about 3 years on a monthly basis. I lost my job in 2007, and I did not know what I was going to do. But then I met all these people, and slowly I figured out, and they helped me figure out, how to run my own web design business, how to force myself to get up in the morning and do the work, how to convince a client to pay me. All of these things I took for granted because I used to just get upset that I had to fill out my timesheet at the end of the week. This is the community that brought me through that. These are the people that became my confidants. These are the people that would meet with me for breakfast and talk about everything and then talk about it again. And if it weren't for those people, I don't know that I would have made it through with any sense of goodness or meaning. It would have just been a beatdown. But I really feel like I grew personally. I feel like I was able to accomplish a lot of good alongside other people. I was able to meet all these amazing people that are doing interesting projects like TAN, the Detroit Soup, and all the different user groups. Talk about the graphics community, the film community. The cool thing about technology is it brings them all together. Everyone and their brother needs a website. And if you know how to make one, then you get to meet all of them. And it's a beautiful world to jump into and be a part of. All right, next slide, thank you. So we talked a little bit about Quicken Loans. I don't want to belabor that, but it's worth mentioning again. Is it Dan Gilbert? Is he the guy who heads up the whole initiative? I heard him speak at the TEDx Detroit. I was really impressed with his commitment to making his resources available to other entrepreneurs. And he backed it up. All of a sudden I started getting phone calls from his assistant saying, we'd like your user group to come and use our facilities. Would you like rock and rye slushies or regular? So this is interesting. I've been fighting my way into the basements of libraries for the last 2 years and getting kicked out at 8:30. This guy actually wants me to come there, and then he's going to open up the Starship Enterprise deck to me so that I can teach people how to make websites. That's pretty amazing. So these are the types of things that are happening in Detroit. All of a sudden, when you show up, you're not fighting against the stream anymore. People actually want you to be successful. It's an amazing thing. And that energy is all over the place, everywhere that you show up. The film community, whether the incentives last or not, they're still here. The people that have the entrepreneurial idea, and if that one fails, they got another one waiting for you, those people are here. The people that are committed to their tool set and want to keep meeting and promoting, those people are here, even if the economy is downtrodden. They just keep plodding along, and you can find them everywhere. Next slide, thank you. So I am a huge fan of tools that help that to happen. I love meetup.com. I think it's one of the best uses of the internet. It actually brings people together in bodily presence and doesn't take over their lives in the process. You can come in here and anything that you're interested in, you can find a group of people that are committed enough to show up in the same spot and talk to you face to face about why it's important to them. I can't imagine anything more valuable. It feels very similar to the traditions of my life that have always been meaningful. Things that I even do on Sunday morning every week. People get together because they love and care about the same thing. It's a beautiful tool. So anything that you're interested in, fill in that Detroit for your city, and then just type in your topic, and I'm sure you will find a group that's waiting for your involvement. Do I have any more slides? That's us. There we go. Thank you very much for your time. I'd love to have you come out to our user group.
Another round of applause for Shane, please. That was quite amazing. I think in only about 10 minutes, I think you went through months or years of the psychology that we all go through or might be going through right now. The excitement of discovering something new, maybe some of the pain and despair of not connecting with anybody, but then discovering folks who are like-minded and the excitement of that. Thank you very much, Shane. Again, that's Joomla Detroit. All right, our next presenter. Linda, are you here? Linda, please help me with your last name. Linda Dacian. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. She is the Executive Director of the Mobile Technology Association of Michigan, also the co-founder of Mobile Monday Michigan, She's also the CEO of Strategic Growth Concepts. She believes that Detroit and Southeast Michigan really does deserve a resurgence, especially with some of the news that's been around lately. She doesn't believe that the community is defined by scandal or the economic turmoil that's going on, but rather that the area is actually made up of hardworking, dedicated people, and that's what matters most. I mean, these people, just like yourselves right here, and of course Linda herself, we're all people trying to do the best they can through tough circumstances, and she wants to do her part to help as many people as possible. She founded the Mobile Technology Association of Michigan, which can be found at gomobilemichigan.org, with the mission of creating jobs and small businesses right here in Michigan, and she believes that she has the chance of creating substantial impact within Southeast Michigan and the rest of her community. So with that, everyone please give Linda a hearty welcome.
Testing, okay, can you hear me? Well, thank you, I appreciate Tom for putting this together, and the exposure that we can get for all of the great things going on in Detroit I think is very important. One of the things that obviously we all have in common is that we're all operating in some fashion out of Detroit. And we have all, I think, made a conscious choice to do that. I'm not originally from Michigan. I've been here about 10 years. And I've lived in a lot of other places in the U.S. I've actually relocated 24 times for my career. When I turned 40, I decided I was way too old to keep doing that, and so where I landed was where I was going to land, and so here I am. And you know what? I avoided Michigan for a lot of years because I had an impression of what I thought it was. And when I got here, I very quickly found out that my impression was very wrong. The community has embraced me. I have made a lot of very good friends here. I have found a lot of things that I really enjoy about being here, more so than a lot of other places that I've lived. And I think that that's very important to get across, that for people like me who are not from here, there's a lot of misinformation out there about what Detroit and what Michigan is. And I think the more of these kinds of things that we can do to get that mission out there about what Detroit is and what the state is, I think putting good information out there is the right thing to do. So I'm glad to do my small part to help. My organization is Mobile Monday Detroit, which is part of Mobile Monday Michigan. Mobile Monday is actually an international organization that works to facilitate networking and business development opportunities for people who are interested in mobile technology. Everybody, how many of you in the audience right now have a cell phone on you? Okay. How many of those are a smartphone, an Android, iPhone? Okay. How many of you ever leave home without that cell phone? Anybody? Okay. How many of you ever have that phone more than 10 feet from you? Okay. 84% of people keep their cell phone, their mobile device, I should say mobile device because now it's tablets too, within 10 feet of them at all times, even when they're sleeping. How many of you fall into that statistic? Okay. So mobile is becoming very, very important. So this organization was started in Helsinki, Finland in 2000, and it has grown internationally. There are now over 100 chapters worldwide in 60 countries, and we started the Mobile Monday Michigan chapter here in July of last year. We did our first chapter in Ann Arbor. It grew very quickly, and so we decided we needed to start one in Detroit. And we were a little worried. We thought, you know, the two cities are kind of close. We're not sure how we're going to do. We're afraid we might detract from what's happening in Ann Arbor, but let's give it a shot. So, needless to say, Ann Arbor did not suffer at all from Detroit because now we have almost 400 members in Detroit. We only started in October. Ann Arbor still has about 250. Both groups are very successful. We usually get about 100 people at each of our monthly meetings, and we bring in people to talk about all sorts of things. and we're going to be expanding in 2011 into Grand Rapids and to Lansing and to Kalamazoo. There is that much interest in the state of Michigan in mobile technology. So our meetings are about education about mobile, topics of interest, all kinds of great speakers, lots of networking going on, a lot of business development opportunities. It's not just about coming and networking and glad handing. It's also about, can I hook you up with somebody who needs a project done, or can I find you a vendor, or what are the things that we can do to help you get what you need? We want to educate all of the businesses in Michigan to understand how mobile technology can be very valuable to them for marketing their business, for selling their product, for doing mobile commerce, making payments on your phone. All of those kinds of things are coming, and they're coming very fast, and it really is going to change the way that we live. So these are some of the events that we have held recently, and you can see we draw a large crowd. We usually try to have food. We have, for the Detroit group, we have a sponsor in CompuWare who provides our food and refreshments on a monthly basis, and also obviously hosts us at our site. And you can see a common theme here. Quicken Loans, CompuWare, obviously same building, and what they're doing is they're opening up the facility to groups who are interested in meeting. And for nothing, they're not charging us. They want people in the building. They want people to come downtown. Just like some of the other presenters indicated, they contacted me. I didn't contact them. I didn't go in search of a location. They heard about what we were doing. They thought it would be a good way to get people coming downtown. They presented me with the opportunity, and I jumped. And I have actually conducted surveys of the members of our group, the people who attend the meetings. They love the facility. They love coming downtown. They're excited about it. They have all commented a great deal that they didn't know all this stuff had taken place downtown. They hadn't been downtown in years. And so if we have accomplished nothing else, we've gotten some people downtown that hadn't been there before. And I'm very proud of that because I think it's very important. So that goes back to why we selected it. The central location of Detroit, it's very strong for us because obviously we draw from the entire metro area for the Detroit group, and we actually draw from farther. We actually have people come from all over the state, but it provides a very easy to get to location because obviously there's a lot of freeway access right into downtown. It's easy to find CompuWare. They're on the news all the time. Everybody knows where it is. And so it has been very helpful to us at building our attendance because it's so easy to find. There's also obviously a lot of major companies that are doing business and still headquartered downtown, so it helps us with getting more attendance at our events, which take place right at the end of the workday on Mondays. Usually the second Monday of the month. This month is the third Monday, so next Monday is our next meeting, the 18th. We will be talking about mobile in the healthcare industry and all the things that are happening there. We feel it's really important for people to see the energy that's taking place. A lot of the speakers so far have talked about that. And it is, it's very exciting to see what's happening. It's honestly, it's the most fun I've had in 20 years. And I don't say that lightly, but I'm really having a really good time doing this. I enjoy going downtown to the meetings. I enjoy the type of people that I'm meeting. Everybody's enthusiastic, everybody's trying something, and some succeed and some fail, but then they try something else and then they succeed the next time. And everybody's got a lot of energy about what they're doing, and that's a lot of fun to be around. It helps keep me energized. We also felt that it was important because we were saying that we're a Detroit group, that if we're going to say we're a Detroit group, we need to be in Detroit. And so when we were searching locations and considering what we were going to do, right at the same time, CompuWare happened to call us, and that's why we jumped on it, because again, we felt that was very important. Our members are, as I said before, when surveying them, they're highly enthusiastic about the facilities, about what they're seeing downtown, the convenience, the fact that it's not scary like they thought it was going to be, it's not dark and intimidating. It's very well lit, it's very easy to get around, and it's someplace that they can be excited about being, even at night. And it gets people used to coming downtown for something other than sports, which I also thought was kind of important. So I thought I would take just a couple of minutes just to give you a couple of pieces of information about why we think that mobile is important to Michigan and why we're doing what we're doing with Mobile Monday and with the Mobile Technology Association of Michigan. What we're essentially trying to do is to take the Motor City and have it become known as the Mobile City. We want Michigan to become known as the Silicon Valley of mobile technology. We have that capability. There are a lot of people working in mobile and a lot of potential in mobile. We had a study conducted by the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, and what that study told us, for every job that we create in the mobile technology industry, we will create 3.9 additional jobs in the state. So we truly can have an impact on the economic redevelopment of this state if we create jobs in our particular industry. What I am told is that it compares favorably to the impact that manufacturing jobs have, and we're one of the very few industries that can have that kind of impact. So we have set a goal to create 9,250 new mobile industry jobs by 2015. We're told if we achieve that, we will create over 35,000 non-mobile industry jobs in the state and over $1.7 billion in resident earnings. And we will also, for those of you that are not aware, right now the market penetration for people who have mobile devices in the U.S. is 93%. In Michigan, it's 76%. So we have a lot of opportunity for growth. The interesting thing to note about that is you might think at 93% we're close to capping out, that we might stop growth at 100%. Well, in Europe, they've already exceeded 140%, and that's because people have multiple devices. How many of you have a cell phone and a tablet? A few of you. There will be a lot more soon. So you can become involved in the free groups of Mobile Monday Detroit or Ann Arbor. Both are free. You can access them on the meetup sites. It's meetup.com, Mobile Monday Detroit, and also Momo A2 for the Ann Arbor group, if that interests you. The meetings are held monthly, and we do try to publicize in advance what our topics are going to be. We bring in speakers from all over the place. We have had Ford and GM and Microsoft, and this next meeting we're going to have people from Spectrum Health Systems and Logic Solutions and another company called Volt, and they're all going to be talking about the healthcare industry and what is being done in mobile technology in the healthcare industry. The next one after that is going to talk about mobile commerce. What's going to happen with how you make payments on your phone and order tickets on your phone and pay at the pop machine with your phone. You may not be aware, but places like Japan and China and those kind of places, they don't carry credit cards, they don't carry money. They carry their mobile phone, and everything they pay for is paid for via that phone. We also have the Mobile Technology Association of Michigan. We are currently, for the trade association, we are currently seeking an actual abandoned building downtown that we're going to take over, where we're going to base the headquarters for the trade association, and we're also going to put together a mobile technology incubator, and we're going to be doing a lot of things. It's going to basically become a mobile technology center, and it's going to be in downtown Detroit. So we are currently touring buildings, looking at available buildings to see which ones are going to be most suitable for our needs. So I'm hoping that we're going to be able to get that done this year. That is our goal. And so from there, we hope to be able to create a lot of activity and a lot of buzz about mobile technology. And that's it.
Linda, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Wow, very encouraging. You know, one of the things Linda mentioned about the so-called impression or reputation Detroit has, I sort of like to use that to my advantage whenever I'm traveling, whether it's East LA or north side of Minneapolis or Harlem in New York City or the south side of Chicago. When you say you're from Detroit or Michigan, people normally either stand back or they get a smile on their face because they don't want to mess with you. Now don't take that too far. Don't travel to Cleveland or Oakland or something like that and just walk down dark alleys yourself and then say I'm from Detroit and think people are going to back off. But that's just a funny little anecdote that I have. How many people experienced ArtX Detroit this past weekend? Excellent. Well, today, I happen to experience part of that also over at the Wright Museum right in downtown Detroit. And one of the things I tweeted today, I enjoyed the experience so much that I said, you know, between technology and innovation that we're talking about today, and between cars, communications, including the media companies that we have, and between medical technology, and now with the arts, well, the arts have been here for a long time, ever since Detroit was founded. The Detroit area really has it all. So our next presenter, his name is Sean Neal. Sean Neal is one of the leaders of the Sugar People. I heard him give a presentation earlier this month at Tom's meetup over in the Compuware building for DNU Tech. And what the Sugar People are all about is basically helping out artists. Sean has an artist with us this evening, and he'll tell you a little bit about her or them. But the Sugar People is really about helping artists really discover their own art and their own inspiration and really nurturing that by providing them a space, also a space, a forum, and the media to go ahead and record their own music if they like, to record and film their own music videos, short films, or feature films if they like. So without further ado, everyone please welcome Sean Neal.
How's it going? Like I said, my name's Sean Neal from the Sugar People. We're going to talk about rock and roll for a little bit. That's cool for you guys. So we have a big day coming up this Thursday, and that we're launching our little baby called GBS Detroit. And what GBS Detroit is a collaboration between the other members of the Sugar People and I, who is the lovely Miss Lulu Dahl here, and Mr. Jeff Wenzel. We have a studio in downtown Detroit called Groovebox Studios. Originally where we recorded our album, which if you come see us afterwards, we can give to you for free for your listening enjoyment. But we decided that Detroit needs something. You know, major labels are dead, and there is no more that big support structure for young artists to be able to get their music heard. It's very difficult. You know, one of the guys were talking about the internet creates a lot of noise and an overwhelming amount of information. That's what's happening with music right now, is you go out to the internet to go to iTunes or MySpace, if you dare, to try to hear music, and you're just overwhelmed with bands. And what's missing is the ability to create a regional voice, to go back to the old days of Motown, which is right here if you don't know, and create a scene. And that's what we're all about at the Sugar People. So we're launching something called GBS Detroit. It stands for Groovebox Studios Detroit, this Thursday at Ignite. And we love the movement here. It's an amazing event. We wanted to come here and play some music for you. So GBS Detroit is about showcasing not only the talents of the Sugar People, both as artists and recording engineers, but all the amazing independent musicians that are around the city, that are coming through the city. I'll share a little anecdote before we play some music for you. We had some artists come up from Nashville, a great band called Hello Kelly. You're going to be hearing a lot from them really soon. They came in and did our live in-studio performance, which we follow the rules of one band, one room, one take. Just like the old Motown days, they come in, they set up, they play, we record a video, and it goes up on our website. And they've never been through Detroit. You know, they pass from Nashville on their way to Toronto, Canada. They drive by Detroit because the bridge is here. And they said that's what happens. All the Toronto bands drive over the bridge and go down to Nashville. All the Nashville bands drive over the bridge and go to Toronto. And just in the one night that they spent with us, experiencing our studio, experiencing the town, taking them over to Slows to eat, or other bands that we've taken over to Mudgee's Deli, or we've taken to City Bird, they're just blown away by the town. And for the last 2 weeks, all they can do is talk about what amazing things are happening in Detroit, the amazing culture, the amazing amount of art. Just in the small port town area where we had them, they commented there was more art and more things and more vibrancy and life in the city than the entire area of Nashville, because Nashville's become so much of a shopping mall and a corporate culture even for music. And that's what we're all about, is shining a spotlight on the city, a spotlight on the artists, both using our own talents as musicians, but all the resources we've gathered. So Without further ado, the lovely Miss Lulu Dahl and Jeff Wenzel of the Sugar People play some great music for you. And go to thesugarpeople.com and gbsdetroit.com this Thursday for some really amazing stuff. Thank you.
I ran up on you! No, I'm just joking. We're going to keep it mellow. It's been 55 days in my phone ring. Check my email and I ain't got a thing. Ain't had no human contact with somebody who really cares. And I'm starting to think that they'll never be there. And now 55 days turned into 5 long years. I've been on my own and I cried my last tears. I feel like a part of me is barely alive. I'm starting to think I'm yesterday's superstar. Yeah, 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 yeah. I've been so many places and I've done so many things, and I'm one of the few people that lived out on my dream. How could I hold this so close and let this in? And I give anything to just start over again. I feel like a part of me is barely alive. I'm a yesterday's superstar. I feel like a part of me is barely alive. I'm a yesterday's superstar. But through all of your churches, through all of your lies, it seems I was forgotten. Now I'm taking back what's mine. From the ground up I built it. Why you just criticize? This is my shine. This is still my time. It's been 55 days, now I'm back in this game, doing shows around the world. Why y'all framing my name? Like you done seen me rise and you done saw me fall. Got the battle scars 'cause I've done been through it all. Not one part of me dies. I am still alive. I use my pain as my power 'cause I'm a superstar.
Thank you very much, Sean Neal. Thank you very much, Lulu. And Lulu, what's the name of your guitarist?
Jeff Bunsey Wenzel.
All right, give them all a round of applause, please. All right. Oh, a reminder, we have a raffle drawing this evening. That'll take place after our final 2 presenters, so stick around for that. We have at least a couple of prizes for everyone. Prizes for the winners. All right. Margarita Berry is here next. That is our next presenter, right here from Detroit. To her, Southeastern Michigan is home to a growing number of forward thinkers that are ready to take advantage of the great opportunities that lie here and really lie within us. And really, there's a unique opportunity right here in Detroit specifically for young people to create is much greater than any other place in the United States or any other place in the world. This place really has more opportunity than any place else, is what she says. She believes that this area is filled with doers who will be the group that will bring innovative ideas to life and have a significant impact in helping to revive urban neighborhoods. Young people in particular are the types of folks that she's interested in most. Young people see Detroit as a place where they can affordably create and move on from new ideas that they create themselves and really start projects right from the ground up. And it's at this moment that there aren't too many other large metropolitan areas that can actually say that. She created IamYoungDetroit.com as a response to Detroit's so-called negative reputation and the so-called brain drain. And the website highlights Detroit's young innovators, creative thinkers, and leaders with the hopes of attracting and retaining young talent in this area. Everyone, please welcome Margarita Berry.
What's up? So, again, my name is Margarita Berry, and I'm the publisher of I Am Young Detroit. And I just want to tell you a little bit about who we are and kind of why I created the website in the first place. Hopefully I can figure out this a little quicker. Okay, so this is what we'll go over. I'll just gloss over that. So, I Am Young Detroit. The reason why I actually created I Am Young Detroit is because a number of things. Growing up in the city, my mom and all of my family members, you know, when I went to college, they were like, Margarita, the first thing you need to do is figure out how you're going to get to someplace else. They didn't want me to even consider staying because that was just out of the question, you know what I mean? The thought was, there's nothing here for you, you know, you need to go out and find your dreams elsewhere. And I found that I could do that here. And I'm going to tell you a few reasons why. So I Am Young Detroit is a publication that kind of mimics this thought that I have that Detroit is the place where people can come and pursue their passions and do it successfully. So it's an online publication of movers created for and by young doers, and our mission is to attract and retain young talent. We inspire people through these stories of these young leaders, these young innovators, these young creatives who are making their impact on the city. So I'm sure most of you have heard about Detroit's brain drain. I apologize for the formatting here. But basically, many of our young talent are fleeing the city for what they consider our greener pastures, what they consider our better opportunities. And that's the story of my childhood. That's what I was hearing growing up. And so there's a study done by Michigan Future that says that we need about 140,000 more young professional households to match some of these more like desirable cities like the Minneapolises and the Chicagos. And so my thought was, you know, what if I created a website where I spotlighted what I found were all of these amazing young people that I was meeting along the way. Young people under 30 who were working, living, and playing in Metro Detroit, who were doing really innovative things. People like Roast Bit. Are any of you guys familiar with Ro? Anyone? Okay, good. See, that's why you guys can check out the website. So right now I have a video that will tell you a little bit more about Ro and what he does and what makes him a really inspiring young creator. That video.
The hip-hop scene is hot right now, and their streetwear is just as fresh. I'm here with a man today who's delivering both. We got Roast Bit, who you might know better from Renaissance State of Mind.
What up, though? Yeah, I'm out there, Yak Town. Now I'm down in Royal Oak, right next to the top spot. Burn rubber, that's my spot.
Okay, so, you know, with that show that you're doing on July 2nd, you're also celebrating the 3rd year anniversary here at Burn Rubber. Tell us a little bit about the grind here. You know, how did you get into this space? You know, it's a big thing to tackle. So, you know, how did you get involved?
Looked at, you know, what they did best. We looked at leaders of Chicago, and that's, you know, they branded themselves. One thing, I forgot who told us, but it's like, one thing out of all these companies, like at any given time, Play Clothes can say like, yo, we want to get bigger and we want to go into Macy's. At any time, Nike can be like, yo, y'all not selling enough shoes, you even know y'all should be Foot Locker. You know what I mean? But one thing they can never take away from us is Burn Rubber.
So that was Rose Spit. He's a Detroit rapper, but he's also an entrepreneur. He owns a boutique called Burn Rubber out in Royal Oak, and he's a prime example of a young person who is pursuing their passions here, who made a decision to stay in Detroit and to live out their dreams. Emily Dora is another example. She's the founder of Hostel Detroit. Have you guys heard about the new hostel that's opening? And actually their preview is tonight. And so Emily was one of these people who, you know, she had this idea in her mind for a long time, and I think she was attending a book club in Detroit, and she met, you know, people who had the similar kind of idea of building some kind of youth hostel in Detroit. And so, you know, it's this idea of these kind of grassroots movements, these meetups that we heard about here today that are really making things happen. People like Danielle Green, who is the owner of Vixen Fitness, and her business is kind of cool. What she's doing is she's basing, it's kind of a non-traditional fitness place because she does, what is it, the pole dancing. There you go. I was trying to say it without trying to get too raunchy. But, you know, she's 26 years old and she has, like, I think 3 locations now. I mean, this is just awesome, right? James Moore, who I graduated from BizMU with, is the owner of Jimmy Kicks, and that's a kind of a threadless model. BizMU, right? And that's kind of a threadless model for gym shoes. And if you log on to jimmykicks.com, you'll see that he's created this really vibrant online community of people who upload their designs and turn it into gym shoes and sell to get a percentage of the profit. And so with the next incarnation of INN Detroit, I kind of want to take, you know, just this web thing to the next level. I want to really focus on connecting with people in real time and in real life. So our goal is to bring these inspirational stories through life through online and offline workshops and events. So we're hoping to connect people like you to whatever it is that you need. We're hoping to provide seed grants, funding opportunities, entrepreneurship training, and mentorship opportunities. So, you know, when you visit our website and you read these inspiring stories of these young doers, not only will you be able to be inspired, but we'll have a list, we'll have guides, and we'll have opportunities for you to connect with these people and build relationships to kind of learn to do what they do and create your own opportunities. So INN Detroit is not just me. We're a group of, you know, broke young entrepreneurs. We're volunteers, and we come from all of these different backgrounds, and we all have the same feeling that, you know, the time is now, and Detroit is the place to really pursue whatever it is that you want to do. So check out INNDetroit.com. We're growing every day, and our Twitter page is amazing. How many of you found out about this event through our Twitter? Anyone? Okay, cool. 3 people. That's awesome. I find that the community that we built online, I'm kind of a computer nerd myself, and so I have a hard time speaking with people and public speaking and all that, but you know, it's really cool to have this place online where I can, you know, communicate with people on a daily basis and build relationships. And you know, the next place for INN Detroit is really to try to bring those relationships into real life. And also check us out on Facebook, INNDetroit.com. One thing I also wanted to mention is, in doing this and starting this website, you know, it's really got me to think about, like, what are my own dreams? What would I like to pursue? And one thing that I've always had a desire for was learning and creating. And so I'm working on this new project called 71 Pop, and it's going to be an emerging local artist rotating pop-up shop. And I really, have any of you heard of that? Thank you. So yeah, I just wanted to say that I love what I do. I love Detroit, and talk to me afterwards because I'm incredibly nervous and I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Thank you.
Margarita Berry, give her a round of applause again, please. Thank you very much, Margarita. Good to know good to meet more folks who are just as enthusiastic about meeting other people and developing ideas as the rest of us here in the room, and I'm sure you'll get a lot more traffic a lot more, certainly a lot more than 3 Twitter followers that are out there right now. I know we're going to turn that 3 into 300, then 3,000, then 3 million, I'm sure. All right, is John Zemke here? Good. John Zemke, he's the managing editor of Southeast Michigan Startup. He's also news editor of Metro Mode and Concentrate Media. He holds a bachelor's degree from the University of Michigan. He also says, on a personal note, he says that he has a little brother from Big Brother, Big Sisters, and every time he gives me a hug, that is certainly a highlight for him, in addition to the work that he does. So without further ado, everyone please welcome John Zemke.
Hi, my name's John. I'm a business journalist, and I'm used to being where you guys are, so please bear with me as I go through this learning curve of trying to figure out how to do a presentation. Now, one of the things I do, or the main thing I do, is cover entrepreneurship throughout Metro Detroit. So City of Detroit, the suburbs, Tri-County area, Ann Arbor area. If you're starting up a new business, that's what I'm doing. And I thought I could come up here and try and explain exactly what I do, or I could tell a little bit of a story, and that might be a little bit better, more enthralling, or something along those lines. So I'll tell a story. One of the trends I've noticed is called accidental entrepreneurs. People who don't see difficult situations as problems as much as opportunities. And there have been a lot of those popping up within the last couple of years. And I'm going to tell this story through an urban garden, you know, the great savior of Detroit today, smartphone apps, a puppy dog who just wants to run free, mead, the oldest alcoholic drink in the world, and blight. And all this wraps up into basically how I accidentally bought a duplex. I know those aren't words you hear every day. So how does one accidentally buy a duplex? Well, it all starts with this dog. My wife and I, we live in a loft with our 3-year-old pit bull German Shepherd mix, who is filled with energy and happiness, and she has no yard to run in. So one of our answers to this is my wife got a plot in a community garden a few blocks from us by Wayne State, and there, for the first year, our dog could run off leash and play and chase squirrels and, you know, just have a great time. Well, they stopped letting dogs run off leash there not long ago, so I had to figure out, okay, I have a wife who wants to garden more because she's a really big vegetable fan. I have a dog who obviously is not excited. And so how do I solve this problem? Well, I decided the best thing to do, since I like to buy and renovate old houses, is to buy a vacant parcel so my wife can garden and my dog can run. So I went through the Wayne County tax foreclosure auction last fall. I found an address not far from me. It was vacant land. I'm like, wow, this is perfect. Look at all that land there. My wife can garden until the cows come home. My dog can chase after those cows. It will be great. All I have to do is put up a fence around it. And look, there is a boarded up house right next to it. I like to restore houses. Maybe, you know, one day I could take that on. My wife said, no, first you can finish all your other projects. And I was like, okay, well, you're going to have your garden and, you know, I will have brownie points and that will make life good. So I bought it, and the address it was on the street that you really can't see. And I thought, oh, I have all this vacant land, and while I'm waiting to take possession, I'm looking to see what houses were there, what building was there, and as I'm looking more and more into it, I realized I don't own all of the vacant land now. I actually own about half of it. And I also own that vacant duplex right next door. I found this out about a week after I bought it. This is what I get for assuming. That's about 4,000 square feet of pure Detroit blight right there. It has everything you could possibly imagine in it. Fire damage, a hole in the roof. I mean, it's filled with stuff like you wouldn't believe that nobody cares about. All mine. I know. Amazing. Thankfully, my wife did not divorce me because the key word, accidental. So I'm thinking, oh God, what am I going to do? This is a huge project. I have lots of other stuff going on. But you know what? I hug buildings with the best of them. I'm going to make the most of this. It's near Wayne State. I can turn this into a student rental. I've done it a couple times before. You know, I'm going to do this overtime in my spare time over a few years. So, I'm sure you're wondering, what the heck does this have to do with startups or entrepreneurship in Metro Detroit? Well, more millionaires were made during the Great Depression than any other time. I don't know if that's exactly true, but it's a piece of conventional wisdom that gets thrown around a lot. So I thought, okay, that seems right. And if you look through history, there's some very big companies that were founded in tough economic times. Procter & Gamble, GM, Microsoft, all were founded during economic downturns. Actually, Procter & Gamble and GM were founded during downturns where the word panic is a key word in that label right there. So, this year we're in an economic downturn. And one of the things that I've noticed is that there are a lot of entrepreneurs out there who have been laid off or who are afraid of being laid off and decided to start their own business. And according to the Kauffman Foundation, that business startups that began in 2009 reached their highest level in 14 years. So a lot of that is, you know, people saying, you know what, I'm just tired of making a lot of money for somebody else, and then when times go bad, I'm left holding the short end of the stick and collecting unemployment. Or people who are just saying, I'm tired of doing everybody else's work because my boss laid off half of the staff, and now I have to make up for that. Which makes a lot of sense. So, and there are a lot of local examples of this here too. BigBot. It's an app developer out of Troy. It started by Henry Balanon on New Year's Day of 2009. The night before, actually the evening before, he got a message from his boss, I guess for lack of a better word, at a major corporation where he was doing consulting work for software. And they said, you know what, you've been great, but we don't need you anymore, have a good life. And Henry thought all of a couple of hours, you know what, I'm going to start my own software apps company. Today, he employs a handful of people creating custom applications for major corporations and small businesses all across the U.S. He's actually has a deal to share space with Bill Highway, another internet startup in Troy. Another example, Bee Nectar Meadery, started by Brad and Carrie Dahlhofer and their friend Paul Zimmerman. They make mead out of an old industrial space in Ferndale, and it's just like a passion of theirs that they decided, you know what, we're going to turn into a business. These guys are longtime home brewers, people who thought, you know what, I would like to try mead one day, and then they found they were really good at it, and then Brad got laid off from his IT job, and then Carrie got laid off, and they have a young child, and Paul is thinking, you know what, this job might not be the place where I want to spend the rest of my life. Why not try and make a go for this to really create something, turn our passion into a business? Well, they did that, and Brad and Carrie did this, by the way, with having a small child at home. They basically opened their doors on this old industrial small space, and the demand was more than they could ever imagine. So much so that Paul quit his job 3 months later. Today, this business provides enough work for not only those 3 people, but another 2 or 3 people on top of that. Their blue bottles, which I'm sure you've seen in grocery stores around here somewhere in the craft beer selection or wine selection, are being sold in at least 6 other states across the U.S., mostly the eastern half of the U.S., and they're looking at going international. So, my point is this, is that when you're seeing things that you think of are, you know, problems, that are really just opportunities at times, and really, it'll just turn into a happy accident if you take advantage of it. Thanks.
All right, John Jeffrey, thank you very much. And really, that's a good note as our final presenter. Really turning a negative into a positive, seeing opportunity in what seems like catastrophe, and really following your passion. Let's give a round of applause to all of our presenters tonight. Thank you once again, Schoolcraft College. Give a round of applause also to all of our sponsors who you'll see in the exhibit room, including the exhibitors. Many of you who are across the hall, I'm sure you saw the setup for food and beverages. Well, the food and beverages, they are certainly here. I know many folks have been waiting for that. And you'll be enjoying a lot of the food and beverages right from students who are right here at Schoolcraft Community College studying the culinary arts. All right, now on to our raffle. Tom, I want to invite you back up here. Everyone give a round of applause for Tom. I'm going to have Thanh Tran go ahead and pick the winner. And that'll give you, this mixing up will give you time to pull out your tickets. Again, the red tickets were they available upon purchase of the entry, or there's an extra cost?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay, great. So as soon as you got here, you should have gotten a red ticket. So make sure, oops. Put that back in. Nothing else fell, did it? Okay, good. All right, go ahead.
Okay.
And this prize is for, it's a $50 gift card to Slo's Barbecue.
So here we go, guys.
341722. The first one is 341722. We have to see your tickets.
Come on up. Well, our first winner, potential winner, I'm sure we can confirm shortly, comes up. The green hat was donated by Greening Detroit. Let's give them a round of applause. All right, what's our next prize and our next potential winner? All right, next is 2 free tickets for Prohibition and All That Jazz bus tour from Feet on the Street Tours. So that sounds good. Okay, go ahead.
Here we go.
Number 341733. That's 341733.
There we go. We got another winner in the house. And we have 2 more prizes coming up. All right, our next prize is a gift certificate, 4 tickets for one of our walking tours and tasting tours of the historic Eastern Market. Come hungry, leave happy. This again brought to you by feetonthestreettours.com. And our winner is?
The number here is 341721. That's 341721.
Oh, great. Another winner? And the final prize is, say the best, well, these are all great prizes. 100, this is 100, at least I best saw the high number, that's all. $100 gift card to Pure Detroit. All right, and our winner is?
Here we go.
Where's the
Wait, oh yeah. Do we have your guitar and stuff?
Okay, here we go. 341716. That's 341716.
Hey, there we go. That's another winner. Thank you again, greeningdetroit.com, for providing the hat and taking part in our raffle here. Tom, thank you again for helping to organize this event. Also Elizabeth, who you see here on the side, and the other folks who helped out and organized, thank you very much once again. Tom, we've come to the end, I take it?
Yep.
All right, we've come to the end. I'm a little hungry. I've got time not only to digest food, but also digest a lot of the great ideas that we heard from our presenters and make some more connections. And I know many of you want to do the same. Thanks again, Tom, and for the rest of you for inviting me and also listening to what I have to say in the presentations here this evening. And with that, everyone, please enjoy the rest of the night, enjoy the food, and have a safe ride home. Thanks. Oh, one final thing. Otherwise, word will get out. It's being taped here. My boss will kill me. Please watch me tomorrow morning on Channel 4. All right? So there you go. Also, you can use me to talk more about your events. All right.
I know, right? I'm gonna come give you a hug.